My colleagues on the dais, delegates, ladies and gentlemen. It's indeed great pleasure to be here in this 5th World Renewable Energy Congress, with the main focus on energy efficiency and conservation. Since yesterday, all of you have been listening to very thought-provoking and informative lectures and papers from experts, delegates all over the world. The discussion on renewable energy topics, right from waste to energy or any other form of renewable energy, is always in the focus for countries' energy security. This session is dedicated to sustainable transportation with the focus on energy efficiency and conservation. When we talk about the various energy resources and also discuss the renewable part of that, we have different type of sectors and type of consumers. On one hand, we have industry, which is the largest, one of the largest sector consuming energy, with the peculiarity that most of the energy and the sectoral customers are in an organized manner. On the commercial side, we have entities, buildings, shopping malls, installations, municipalities. But if we think about the transportation sector, there is a special characteristic that most of the consumers are individuals. That means they are not in an organized manner. So the programs or any policy initiatives for transportation sector, be it for any energy efficiency purpose, be it for renewable energy purpose, they will have to have a different type of structure or a different type of awareness which is required for the transportation sector. If we talk about the transportation in heavy vehicles, there are fleet operators, but there are individual owners also. If we come back to the car level of four-wheelers or SUVs, there are taxi operators, individuals, then there are minibuses, heavy buses through state transport corporations, and finally coming back to the two-wheeler category, which is about 70% population in India. They are mostly the individual consumers using the two-wheelers. So if we can see right from a young person having a 18 plus age up to a fleet operator or a state transport corporation, the category of consumers are having wide variety. And that's the reason, if you want to introduce or you want to popularize the use of renewables in the transportation sector, we will have to have specific initiatives or programs for this purpose. I would just like to highlight three key issues before I hand over to our learned speakers. First will be the benchmarking, or we will commonly call it fuel efficiency. Fuel efficiency norms for the cars up to 3.5 tons have been announced recently by the government. Most of the advanced countries are already at a next grade. They have worked out about the heavy vehicles. In India also, the discussion is on to formulate the fuel economy norms for heavy vehicles. So keeping the benchmarking process and updating it year by year is definitely going to have a large focus on the sustainable transportation, and especially for the heavy vehicles which are consuming about 28 million tons of diesel every year in the country. It's very much imperative to have fuel economy norms for heavy vehicles. They are running a large distance, they are using a very high amount of freight traffic, and definitely we should have all the fleet operators and the heavy vehicle owners participate in the fuel economy norms. second thing is about the behavioral change. That's the driving habit. Driving habit varies from the consumer to consumer, from rural to urban, and in such manner, the use of same fuel, whether it's gasoline or diesel, has a different proportion or different consumption for each category, for each location, for each route, and also for each location, for each terrain. That's the reason that each consumer should know how to drive it in a much more efficient manner so that he can get the best value of the fuel which he is using for his vehicle. And finally, the renewable part, we should always try to convert some of the fleet operations. We can start with the captive fleet proportion. Suppose, for example, we can take a particular city and convert three-wheelers into a renewable portion, either a biodiesel or any other electric part, which is coming through, say, solar PV. We can even consider an airport, that all the vehicles flying within the airport may be converted into renewables, either through electric transmission, which can be charged through solar panels, or we can put a specific waste to energy plant and then use the diesel coming out from the plastic to drive some captive vehicles. These are different options available, and maybe from sector to sector and category to category, we'll have to work in these areas so that in coming years, the transporting sector also can see a lot of renewable energy being used. So now, I'll start with this session. I'll first request Dr. Abhay Bakre to present his paper.